Hello and welcome. With the Adelaide Fringe coming up in the next few weeks, we're chatting with a Fringe producer. Last year he wrote a show called The Good Immigrant, because he was one, and it won a Spirit of the Fringe Award. And this year he's doing it again with a new show. Hello, CeeJay.
Hello Malcolm, how are you?
Well, apart from this croaky throat, I'm fine. So thank you for asking, so I could explain why I sound like I've got my sexy voice. Now, CeeJay, let's talk about the show The Good Immigrant to start with, because that was last year.
Yep.
It must have been difficult for you because as an actor, you're usually handed a script and say, well, this is what you're going to do.
Yeah, it was a different experience and obviously, hard experience, but I think it gives you explore your inside what you can do apart from being an actor.
Sure. Well, we should explain. Rather than buy a script from another writer, you were encouraged to write your own.
Yeah.
And based on...
And thanks to you, you encouraged me to...
There was a bit of encouragement there, but more importantly, I mean, one of the things that in this country we need to do is tell our own stories. And although you originally weren't from here, perhaps we should explain that part first. Clearly you were an immigrant from...
India, yeah.
Where were you? Where in India?
Punjab.
Right.
Yeah.
Up the top on the left.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Up north.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came here a few years ago, and so all those.
Why Australia?
I think, like everybody else, in search of better life.
Right.
I would say.
Sometimes we forget living in this country just what a better life it actually is and how lucky we are. Yeah. Better life because why? Too many people, not enough opportunities?
I think economically and the way you want to live your life.
Right.
Those are one of the factors, I think.
So in the play that you wrote, and I must admit, yes, I did have something to do with that, because I said to you, why buy a play when you can write one for yourself?
Exactly.
And everyone's got a story, and sometimes your story is more interesting than somebody else's, and your story was.
Thank you.
So how did it all happen? Where you took inspiration from your background or others?
So the whole thing which we have in The Good Immigrant, it was like a burning inside for such a long time since I came to Australia.
You never thought of writing it, did you?
No, I never. Okay. I always, all those experiences, memories just were stored in my heart, and it was just waiting to come out. And when I was looking for a show for Adelaide Fringe 2023, I didn't really know what to do. So I thought, all right, I'm gonna, work on this show and see what happens. And I was looking for a writer, who I can explain the whole story and they can write for me. But that was not working, and I had sitting with a few writers, but that didn't work. And then luckily I met you, you encouraged me.
No, suddenly though, sometimes people just need a little bit of inspiration or sometimes just a bit of a push to say, have a go.
Yeah.
Because you really don't know if you can do anything until you do it.
Exactly, yeah.
So was that your experience with it though? Did you feel at the end of it that was your experience, that had I not been pushed a little bit, had I not thought about my own story? Because in the show it is about an immigrant coming to Australia.
Yeah.
Actually, we can tell a bit of the story. I think that's sort of quite appropriate.
Yeah, the story is about an immigrant who comes to Australia and...
Who's good.
Yeah, and all the life he has lived in back home, how their life played out in the play, and then how those experiences he is having in Australia, how they shaped his life to become a better person, to become a better immigrant.
But during the piece, something in this country we find difficult to understand is the class system in India. And during the piece, your character interviews somebody that possibly could be a flatmate.
Yeah.
But suddenly you turn because he's of a lower caste.
Yes, yeah.
How prevalent is that still in India?
Oh, it's quite prevalent still, and it used to be, things were getting better, but then in the last few years, it has been again where it was, and I really want to address that issue, and I think everybody deserves treated equally. Doesn't matter you in Australia or India or anywhere in the world. So
Well, that's the message that actually comes out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You were challenged as somebody coming into the country. You were challenged in a working situation, and more or less repressed that you couldn't be as good as the white players in the game.
Exactly.
And did you find that, or was this experience yours personally, or many other people, friends that you talked to?
So some of the experience were my own, and but some of the experience people I know, people I have met, and the stories I have heard, read. So all those things inspired me to write the whole story, and everything was based on true events.
Yes, it's interesting because we don't, you know, the old saying about walk a mile in my shoes, we really don't know what most people go through in life unless you're living with them and can see what happens to them on a day-to-day basis.
Exactly.
Anyway, you were very proud of the piece. I think the thing that really gives you the biggest tick of all is that you won a Fringe Spirit of the Fringe award.
Yeah.
That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the Fringe was very kind to us, and all those reviewers, the audience were very kind, and we got recognition by the Fringe, and winning an award for your first place, I think it's really nice.
Absolutely, and exactly right, to get an award for your first play, in which you also played the lead role.
Yeah.
You know, it really is a lovely compliment. So that stimulated you to go further, to write another piece.
Yes. So I'm writing actually 2 plays for this year Fringe, and they again, because I personally believe in a theatre which not just entertain people, but there is a meaning behind it, you know, some sort of message.
Well, if you can get both, it's a bonus,
exactly,
really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but the primary motive is to, you know, entertain the audience. So yeah, I'm writing 2 plays, and one is called A Girl, and the second is You're Gambling.
Okay. Can you explain a little of both of them?
So the girl is...
The girl.
A girl.
Oh, a girl.
Yeah.
A girl. Yeah.
A girl. It's about a young woman who has to choose between being a wife or a daughter-in-law or a mother. It's a story of survival of a young woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
What stimulated this?
Again, it's my own experiences. I have seen those
when
things.
you were a young woman?
Yeah. No, not a young woman. I mean, like this. You know, I have seen people. I have seen women, and those experiences again were there, and it's just waiting for it to come out. And and I think my upbringing really helped me to adopt those stories and how I perceive things. Yeah.
And is it Yo Gambling?
Yo Gambling, yeah. So
is this a whole new word you've created?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's the...
So what does it mean, CeeJay?
Yeah. So you gamble...
I should just explain too, your name is CeeJay, not letter C and letter J.
No, yeah. I sometimes joke that CeeJay stands for Christ Jesus. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Not quite.
No, not quite. So yeah, Yo Gambling is a play, it's a comedy drama about 2 housemates. And one is an engineer from overseas, and the other is a local Australian, and how, you know, all those conflict in their life, how they play out. And it's a nice story about 2 housemates who come together and how they improve their lives.
Right. Is that a cast of 2 or more?
It's primary 2 main characters. Yeah. And
one's Indian?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Indian the right? Is that the right term? Because you're Australian now.
Exactly. Like I think it's a very interesting thing, interesting topic. Who is Australian?
True.
Or who is Indian? You know.
True. Well, we all live on the same rock. I say this all the time.
Yeah.
But we really do. We all live on the same rock. We all breathe the same air. We all drink the same water because it goes up and falls down again. Yeah. You know, we need to be comfortable living on this planet and be happy about it.
Sometimes I feel like I should carry my passport here. Hey, look at this.
Yeah.
A blue passport. Australian.
Actually, we'll talk about that in a minute. We've got to take a short break now, though. But we'll be back with CeeJay in just a tick. Our guest is CeeJay Singh. CeeJay, we're just about to talk about your experience coming and going out of Australia and being an Australian citizen, and maybe not being recognised as being an Australian citizen. And we were talking before about coming and going through airports, and quite often it's a problem for you. Do you think they think you look Arabic or something? Are they checking you over because of that? Because you just had a bit of an issue, didn't you?
Yeah, I really don't know how they look at me, like Arab or Indian or Australian. I really don't know. And yeah, it's interesting. Every time I go to the airport checkout, the security checkout, I have been frisked. My stuff being checked over and over every single time. It's interesting, actually. Yeah.
You just must look like a bad man.
Probably.
No, but it's a fair point to make, because we are such a multicultural society, and the respect of that needs to be across the board with everybody.
Exactly.
Because none of us look the same, and why would we want to, quite frankly? Because you look. I've seen you. Well, I should tell everybody. So outside the studio, I think there's 3 posters for films, and your name is on every film. Yeah. And I remember meeting you about 3 years ago and saying at the time, you look like a Bollywood movie star. Is that what your aim has been, or is that what you sort of felt you were heading towards?
Yeah, I came back in Australia in 2020, and before that I was in Bollywood. I was getting auditions and callbacks, and then there were 2 big budget films. I was being shortlisted, and thanks to COVID, that didn't happen, and
everything
I came
changed,
back here. Yeah, everything changed.
But you've been in so many of the student films that have been made here, and the 48-hour films, those sort of things, which means that you're a good actor in that you can pick up what you need quickly.
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of training for this, or is it just something natural?
No, I was trained in Sydney for 2 years in Actors College.
Right.
And then for 1 year in Mumbai.
Right.
Yeah.
And how do you feel, what's the difference between the industry there and the industry here for an actor?
So here, I think the industry, this is my experience, I think the industry is very organized. It's like, I give you an example from casting perspective. So here you are making a film, you go to a casting director, and then you tell them what you need, what sort of actor you require, and then things are being done, right? But they still like, it's changing now, but still it's, sometimes they find people just, from nowhere, or the people they know, and it just, things happen, but I think it's changing now, and things are more organized.
But also there's more opportunities to sort of meet and greet.
Yeah.
Because that's really, you've got to be seen, don't you?
Yeah.
So for a young actor, maybe who came from India, who's got that feeling, this is my career path, from your experience, what advice would you give?
Oh, I think it's about chasing your dreams, your passion. It's hard, and it's a long path, but I think passion will carry you, and you should be ready to face the rejections and all that.
Well, rejection is part of the game, isn't it? But at the same time, writing your own pieces, and this is 3 now you've written altogether, doing that is also pushing yourself further, because you've just sort of said, hey, I'm here, I'm actually able to write as well, I could turn this into a film script for you, I could also be the actor in it.
Yeah.
I guess the next thing you've got to learn is how to direct yourself and everybody else.
I don't know, I think direction is very hard, but you never know. But I think writing is really good, because being an actor, sometimes there's a time when you don't have work, and sitting home doing nothing, it kind of puts you off, and you start feeling away from where you want to be, and doing nothing. And I think for me, writing is very helpful. It keeps me on the track. It keeps me motivated. And that's incredibly important to keep motivated. Exactly.
Because if you're in the industry, again, like you said, you're not working all the time. It's not something that you're doing every day of your life. So what do you do in between? Well, you either have a day job, or like a chap I was talking to the other day, When I'm not working as an actor, I work as a gardener.
Yeah.
And I have a gardening round that I do, and when I'm in a film, I can't garden, and all the people that I garden for know that I'm off making a film, and when I come back, I just work twice as hard to bring everything back to normal again. And I suppose in this country, very few people can work full-time, go from one film or one stage show to another.
That's true.
So you've got to have that in-between.
Yeah.
So isn't it a good idea to have an in-between that is what you do?
Yeah, exactly. I think if you're not, at that level where you're getting regular work, you have to, to make a living. So part-time work, I don't think is a bad idea. Yeah.
Do you know, one of the best things that I was ever said to one of the first employers I ever had, he said, in these days I was singing, and he said, because I could, he said, if you want to be successful in the business, you need to know how to dress well, how to handle money, and how to deal with people.
That's true.
And in a way, those three things have been what's taken me through life, because you do need to know that. You need to have a creative streak. You need to be able to self-motivate.
Yeah.
You need to understand what people want. Did you have a preconceived idea, before you wrote The Good Immigrant or the other two pieces, did you have a preconceived idea as to who your audience would be? Or was it just, this is my experience, so because it's my experience and others I know, I guess they'll enjoy seeing that on the stage?
I think for me, first thing was, it's my experience and I want to tell this story.
Yeah.
The audience came secondary, because I think if right in the beginning I think about the audience, I wouldn't be able to, put a piece first, because...
We wouldn't know what they want to say.
Exactly, yeah.
No.
So I think it's very important that there should be something which motivates you to write, and then you have that piece, and then you can find your audience. Because the piece comes, I think, first, and because there are so many people who we don't know, but they have experience like yourself.
Everybody has a story.
Yeah, everybody has a story,
Yeah.
and they are similar,
Yeah,
not quite same.
But see, coming from somewhere else like yourself, coming to Australia, studying in Australia, going back to Mumbai, coming back to Australia, all the different films that you've already made, your experience is different to somebody who's only ever lived here, who's maybe only ever gone to uni here, who hasn't had that infiltration, if you like, of knowledge from another world.
Yeah. I mean, as an outsider, I would say outsider because I was not born here. I was not raised up here. So there are challenges, there are different experiences, but I think they are like a part of the package.
Yeah.
Because you can't really expect all the good things come to your way. So all those good, bad experiences.
Well, everybody has to work for whatever. But you said to me also, I'm not very good at English, but you actually are surprisingly good. What did you speak? What did you learn as a child? What language?
Punjabi and Hindi.
And okay.
Yeah.
So learning English, how did you achieve that?
So when I was in school, so from year 5, you start learning English. And
back in Punjab?
Yeah, in Punjab. And luckily, my favorite subject was English.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know.
How complex?
Yeah.
Perhaps you could see the future.
Yeah.
Is there something else going on here? Are you zoning in with your stories on the future?
Yeah, I tell you, once my father was in hospital. He got an accident, and we were at this hospital, Christian hospital in Punjab. And everyone, the nurses, the doctors, they speak English. So if you don't know English, you really can't talk to them.
Okay.
So luckily, I was in still school, but I was able to talk to them, and that was the first time I felt confident,
speaking English.
Yeah, speaking English.
Right.
I was I really didn't know where it's coming from.
Right.
I am this young kid and standing next to a doctor and asking about his father's health in English. That was very surprising, but
There's a story in this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to get more marks in English than Punjabi or Hindi. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. So what do you feel the future's going to be for you? You're going to continue to write, do you feel? Act?
Yeah.
Obviously.
acting is the number one thing.
What does that
But,
give you, being somebody else?
Sorry?
Being an actor
Yeah.
means you're being somebody else, in
Yeah.
a way. What does that give to you? What's the personal tick at the end of the day
It's a satisfaction.
of remembering the lines? Or-
No, it's satisfying yourself. Your
Okay.
passion, your dream, you're working towards a passion, your goal, you want to do something. And I think every time you do something, it satisfies you.
And it's a confidence thing too, I
Exactly,
guess. I
yeah.
can do this.
Yeah, exactly, you can
I'm
do
so
this.
pleased that you did what you did to write what you've written, because we need more people in our industry, but we need more people here in this country to write our own stories. And our own stories are now so multinational. We're not locked into just being in the outback, as a lot of overseas people think we are, you know, that we live in a desert, because we don't.
Yeah, I think though we are becoming a more multicultural society,
Yeah.
there are more people coming from different
Yeah.
backgrounds. But I think we are still far away from actually being a multicultural country. Because
because we don't have the history yet.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, we have to take a quick history break and we're back in a tick. CeeJay Singh has been our guest on this episode. And before we go, CeeJay, the good news is that the good immigrant that we were talking about at the very beginning, where you've been contracted to do that in the country.
Port Augusta.
So this is the first time you've actually toured a show as well.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you.
That came out of a pitch session, did it?
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, so
This is, people don't understand that sometimes with new work, you've got to pitch it and hope that somebody's going to pick it up and take it somewhere and literally pay for it.
Exactly.
Because to tour is expensive.
It is.
I know. We're touring Men Who Dance again in South Australia, and yes, it's quite a major thing.
Yes.
So the plays though that you've written for the Adelaide Fringe coming up in a few weeks, your show starts, I think it's the second week of the Fringe?
So second week, first, second, third, and then 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th of March.
Oh, hard to remember all those dates.
Yeah, exactly, it's hard.
Just look it up on the Fringe website, that's the best thing.
Yeah, remember.
So it's called
A Girl,
and
then You're Gambling.
You're Gambling.
Yeah.
A new word in the vernacular.
Yeah.
CeeJay, where do you want to go when you grow up? What do you want to be in the end?
A better human.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would have said something a lot trashier than that, like, I want to be famous for my plays and my acting.
Of course I want to be a good actor, a well-known actor, but I just found this thing in myself. Every day I wake up, this is the first thing I say, that I want to be a good human. This is what I pray for. I really don't, I think it just, when I was,
Honestly, that's what we all need to think.
Exactly.
You're right. When you get up in the morning, I like that. When I get up in the morning, that's what I want to be.
Yeah.
Well, listen, good luck. It's been lovely getting to know you, and I can't believe that I think it was 3 years ago, just before the Bakehouse Theatre here in Adelaide closed down, you were doing a show and it was set up and the director was here and you were just one of the actors. Now you're a writer and a producer and now a touring manager as well. Congratulations on it all. And I hope you go well in the Fringe. And so until next time we meet, keep yourselves nice till then and we'll see you soon.